This is toast. Raise a glass to a new year, to a new you, to a new me, to a new seat at the table once designated for big people only that now includes you too. Maybe that seat used to belong to the grandparent who would lift you high above their head to the clouds, wind washing against your face, but now you can stand on your own. With 2 feet and 1 mind, completely unbalanced to the unbalanced. Still attempting to figure things out, it'll all be okay in the end. Secretly, we all wish we could go back to the times when we had angel wings made out of soybeans and Spanish love ballads, cinnamon sticks as fingertips, and the best homemade Halloween costumes. Raise a glass to the past loves, to your last loves, to the boys behaving badly, hoping that good women will notice them, to those who make love in poppy fields, and to the kid who shines on middle school dance floors. Raise a glass. To the cancer patients who never got to say goodbye, to the babies who never got to say hello, to the old man who can't remember to do either. To the single moms who don't get enough pay. To the single dads who don't get enough credit. To those who wake up at 5 a.m. to go to a job that they hate. To those who can't sleep because they love their job so much. To the housing project, concrete playground used to play hopscotch in the rain, trying to hop in each space before the chalk fades away. Same as the medical student who wishes she could be a poet. And the poet who wishes he could open people so that he could reach their deepest emotion, or perhaps because he will write until he needs stitches, or perhaps he just wants her to make him her lock screen. To the addict who kisses pipes at night. To the soldier who sees invisible planes in the sky. To you again, because God bless you. To me again, because I have always been a bit selfish. To the crooked smile prom dates, to the dateless homecoming floaters, both who have fantasized of that paused Disney princess moment when the Nike shoe is the right size, leading to you getting a platinum ride to the castle of your choice with someone who is a Houston Astro out of your league. To Buddy Holly and Aaliyah who flew planes all the way to heaven. You will be missed. May you forever live on through song notes and breakup playlists. To the ones who have always known popularity, who walk down hallways like runways. To the kids raised without golden spoons and indoor swimming pools, whose mothers would pop in double-sided cassettes in like '01 or '02, who knew that those times would leave so soon. Who knew those days wouldn't last. I know you knew this time would pass, but until then, let's raise a glass.
I'm always strong. I am strong, I am strong, I am strong enough for you. Strong enough to wait for you to be. Strong enough for me. We are broken, beautiful and broken, and you have your time, and I surely have mine. Life is messy, love is an ocean. I am treading water and waiting on the line. I am treading water and waiting on the line. I am still, I'm remaining still. I'm remaining still to keep my clarity. I am clear, I am clear, I am clear on my love for you, darling. You'll never know just what you mean to me. We are broken, beautiful and broken, and you have your time, and I surely have mine. Life is messy, love is an ocean. Climb into my vessel and we'll be just fine. Climb into my vessel and we'll be just fine. We'll be 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 fine. We are broken, beautiful and broken, and you have your time, and I surely have mine. Life is messy, love is an ocean. I'm treading water and waiting on the line. I am treading water and waiting on the line. So climb into my vessel and we'll be just fine.
Hi, everybody. Wow, that was amazing. We are so, so lucky to have those beautiful performances. Thank you so much, Chrissy Black and Aviva J. They will actually be with us tomorrow at our storytellers panel. But for now, we're here at our actors panel, and we have 3 incredible actors. Thank you so much for joining us. So everybody, this is Marie Wright, Adrienne Snow, and Julian Elijah Martinez. So hello, welcome to the actors panel. How's everybody doing today?
Yes.
Good.
Awesome. Cool. So do you guys want to kind of tell us about yourselves briefly, or do you want to just jump into the questions?
Oh.
Okay, well, just tell us where you are at. Tell us where everyone is right now. That sounds fun.
Well, I'm Adrienne. I'm currently in Los Angeles.
My name is Mirai, and I'm also in Los Angeles.
My name is Elijah, Julian Elijah Martinez, and I'm currently in Brooklyn, not Los Angeles. Thank God.
There's always a battle.
I know, it's a battle.
Huh? We didn't say nothing.
I started it. Just like a true New Yorker, I started it.
You did under the fire.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just want to say thank you again for joining us. So I'm just going to kick it off. How did you all learn your craft?
Sorry.
I'm originally from Texas, Houston, Texas, and I lived in Atlanta, Georgia. From there, I went to Chicago, where I studied theater and acting at the theater school at DePaul University. And did theater for a few years out there, and then moved to LA. So I'm full theater school kid. I've cried in a circle. I've run in a circle. I've done I do stage makeup. I do a bunch of different accents, all that kind of stuff. So that's how I learned.
Yes. Also a theater kid, theater nerd. I laughed when you asked that question because my initial response, which is a true response, is that I learned my craft on the job, despite being on stages since I was a little kid, and then middle school, high school theater kid in Massachusetts. And then I did go to school. I studied undergrad at Adelphi University, theater and business / human resources. And then I did a couple internships, and then I did an apprenticeship in Louisville, Kentucky, which was really the first time where I was like, how do you do this professionally as an actor? Because my internships were administrative, despite them being for theater. And so, yeah, when I started working in New York / Louisville before that, was really when I was like, let me figure out this muscle. So part of me is like, I figured out a method that worked for me, and I learned from my castmates and veterans who I had the privilege to work with. And yeah, over time, still figuring it out, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I also laugh because I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. There's a little secret Like none of us know what we're doing. But theater kid too. I started in high school, and from high school, I had the privilege of going to Elon University to study, where I got my BFA and my BA, BFA in acting and BA in lighting design. I can't design lighting, so don't ask me to do that. And then from there, I moved back to DC. I spent some time on the road. So I was in Florida for a while. I was in Ithaca, New York, and then I went back to DC, and I was in DC working as a high school teacher and working in the DC theater scene for a while. And then after that, I went to Yale University for my MFA, and then moved to New York, where I was broke for about 5 years, and that's my story. But also, I did a lot of theater, and then also by the grace of God, have had the privilege of starting to be in film as well, film and TV.
Awesome. That's amazing. So kind of going off of that, what was the first role that you booked? And then what is a role that surprised you the most?
The first like theater role or film role or just in general?
In general, you can talk about, I guess, which one was the most significant to you?
Well, sorry, no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, it's fine.
The very first role I did was I was a UPS guy in a play in which I chased a penguin in middle school. So that was my very first role that I booked.
So eccentric.
I hope you did this at Yale. And then I was like, oh, middle school.
Actually, yeah, no, I did that at Yale. That was my scene from Ron Van Leeuwen. No, I'm kidding. So that was my very first role, was that. But I think my very first role I booked was actually I worked with a Shakespeare company. So right out of school, when I moved to DC, the very first company to give me a job was a Shakespeare company called the Chesapeake Shakespeare Company, and I think we were doing Romeo and Juliet, which was, it was my first lead and Shakespeare, and I had struggled for a long time, being Black and being male and having that weird Maryland accent, and so like it was a real kind of like uplifting kind of thing for someone to be like, hey, you can actually play a lead role in a Shakespeare. I think that's really what gave me the confidence to kind of pursue it as a profession. Maybe.
Awesome. Yeah. Adrian, because
Yeah.
you're going to say something.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No, my first role that I booked, if you're going deep cut, was when I was 4 and I got to be Cinderella when this like performing artist came to our preschool. But my first role that oh my God, it's hard because I'm like, do I count theater school? Do I do this? I guess the first time I really booked something was I did in high school this like performance of Antigone with the Alliance Theater in Atlanta. And that was the moment I realized I was like, oh, I could go off and do this. Like I could go to school and like become this thing that, nobody really took seriously until I was like, no, I'm going to pay my money and go do this thing in Chicago. And I'm never coming back to the South. That's when people got really nervous. But professionally, like the first time I did a lot of understudies. And then I feel like if you are a Black actress and you have not been cast as Tituba in The Crucible, then you haven't got that rite of passage,
That's so are you even an actor?
If you don't, cry in hysterics at the beginning of The Crucible. So that was my first role that I booked. That was like not an understudy. And I felt a way about it. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't getting paid a lot of money. I did not want to play a slave. There were things that I did not want, but I just really wanted to see me because I've been understudying like really great actresses, but no one was seeing me work. And so when I got that, there was a big critic, a Chicago critic who came and saw the show. It was like a really small theater. And the only people she called out was like me and one other person in her review of being like, and these two are like the performances to watch. And I was like, yes, I told you I could do this. So that was like a big one as well, just being able to do that. And then when I booked a role on Boss in Chicago, which was a show on Stars, that was like the thing that kind of propelled me to be like, and now it's time to get out of theater and like go to Los Angeles and try this leg of it, because that's always been the goal. You know, I grew up watching movies, TV was my babysitter, and so that was always going to be the end game, that I come out here and give this a go.
Wow. I felt that all very deeply. My deep cut is playing a Hershey Kiss as like a kindergartner for the fifth graders' performance of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh.
I don't remember it at all, except that there's pictorial evidence, but I think we like sat on the lip of the stage. So that was like my first taste of the stage in kindergarten. So Adrian still wins at 4 years old. And I'll say that the first role I booked to me means the first role that I got paid money for, even though it wasn't a lot, was right before I went to Louisville. Actually, I did a show, I think it was called like the Metropolitan Players or something, but it was weirdly or greatly titled A Servant for Life, but it was about Phyllis Wheatley, a Black poet who was, there's a whole history behind how amazing she was and how amazing her life was. And I'd been out of school for almost a year, out of undergrad. And like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. And this was before my apprenticeship in Louisville. And I didn't realize until way after the fact that like it was really important for me to, to be given the opportunity to play a lead role that wasn't like an independent study that I created for myself in undergrad, which I did. That I auditioned, I like went on backstage, I sent my resume and my cover letter, and I auditioned, I believe, and I got it. And it was for Inequity Theater. And even though I still remember how much I got paid, I will tell you, just for consistency, it was like $20. And I was like, yes, I did it. And my parents came in this little black box theater, and it was like, yeah, I really treasure that experience so much. And the writer and director was one of the people that wrote my recommendations for Louisville. So it all like really, because I was like, well, the only real other people that could give me a recommendation are my college professors, but I want Louisville to know that I'm a real actor and I've worked in New York City. And Andrea wrote me a recommendation letter, and after that was another learning ground at Actors Theater of Louisville. And then I was gonna lie and say my first TV role was Broad City, but let me tell you straight, it was Deadly Sins, and it was a dream of mine to do a reenactment show. So Deadly Sins, like investigative discovery, yes.
All right.
That's what's up. Yeah. Well, Mira, you already touched on this a bit, but when was the first time that you felt seen in a project? Because it looks like your first role, you got to play a Black person. So that's exciting, and it's kind of rare, I feel, almost. So is there a moment where you really felt seen in a project, either in something that you did on your own or someone that you saw and you were like, oh, I can do that as a Black actor?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
It is. I'm trying to unpack it. So you're asking me, is there a role that I did that I felt really seen in, or that I saw someone else in that made me feel like I could be a part of this industry?
And/or I want to hear whichever one registers to you the most.
The first time I saw The Mandalorian, I felt seen.
I was like, go deeper.
I was like, I'm gonna just do this because I know something else is going on over there.
Making a very terrible joke. Very terrible joke.
I don't know.
Mm.
And now I will say, when I finally gave, it sounds so ridiculous, but it'll make sense sooner, I hope. When I finally stopped getting out of my head and gave Susan Lori Parks a chance, like the writer, before I had the privilege and the honor, as Julian said, the grace of God to work with her as a professional, was in college. Like, my undergraduate experience was, I don't even know. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. It was like, I went to college trying to figure out how to be an adult while taking classes. And I really am grateful that I went to a liberal arts college and that I did a lot of other things outside of staying in the performing arts building. But I realized that I didn't know Black writers and playwrights, and that wasn't in the curriculum. And so one day I was like, let me use some of my AMC movie theater money, because I was working while in school, and like buy some plays by Black people. And I bought a bunch, and I remember trying to read Venus. The first go, I might have been a sophomore or junior, I don't remember the story, the timeline, but I was reading it and I was like, what is this? What is it? And I put it away. And then eventually you do a senior capstone, which is like a senior thesis. And I was like, you know what, let me open this again and just like let it wash over me. And then I was like, oh, this is me. Like I hadn't had a theatrical experience of seeing an African, like, and it was Venus, one of the most like traumatizing stories about the Black female body and how it's just been dissected and analyzed for years and centuries, and then like paraded around for people to gawk at. And like, I think there was a reason why I didn't understand it, because it's heavy. And the way that Susan Lori Parks, once I was able to just see the genius, or at least like get a glimpse of it in my own undergraduate way, that was the moment that I was like, oh, when I like take off what some might call the white gaze and just like dive into the diaspora of Blackness, like I am everywhere. We are everywhere. And it's just such a beautiful story, and it is a true one. And the way that she theatricalizes Saartjie Baartman's story through Venus, I think really changed my life.
That's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I think like launching off of that, I think the first time when I had the privilege of going to, it's actually pretty late in my career. I had the privilege of going to London, and I watched a production of Othello, and they had a Black Iago, who's an African brother. I forget his name. And so they allowed him to, not allowed him, that's a terrible word. He used his natural dialect for the play. And so they hear him, and he also included all of the consonants that his natural language would have. So he'll have his ticks and his clicks and all that kind of stuff in his language, in the telling of the piece. And so to hear him, for a long time, my Shakespeare training and my acting training had been to strip me of how I naturally spoke, and to hear him actually do that, and do that with quote unquote Shakespeare, this heightened language, was very, very kind of uplifting. And I was like, holy, can I cuss? I'll cuss.
Yeah, of course. We're adults.
I was like, holy shit. I was like, you know, my Blackness, it doesn't need to be diminished. You know what I'm saying? It can be, it actually elevates the text and makes the text more more universal. You know, because all of a sudden, every time he would do his tick, every time he would do the clicks, every time you could hear it, you could feel it, right? And it stayed on the pattern of the iambic pentameter almost perfectly. He never broke the pattern, even though it feels like he included. So I was just like, so even now I'm getting chills about it because I'm like, and that didn't happen until, you know, my late 20s. And I had been working, you know, professionally up until that point. And then in my late 20s, I finally see a person of color perform, quote unquote, under the white gaze, but not try to conform to the white gaze, but actually showcase their own humanity and their own culture within the text and within the language. So that is mine.
It's incredible. Adrian?
Okay, well, I'll say this about my theater school experience. It was a complex time. And I guess everyone's had, if you went to theater school, you had a complex time. But I have just like a very different experience just of like coming up as in, after I moved from Texas to Georgia, I went from an all white space essentially to an all black space. And I've worked really hard to kind of just get to my regular cadence, but I kind of, I guess, sound like a Valley girl. And that was a big problem when I moved to Georgia. So there is I guess, and when I went to Chicago for school, that was another kind of thing that became an issue as well, that a question of my level of Blackness. So for me, like when it came down to doing Black plays and Black work, I wanted to do it, but I wanted to do it on my own terms. And there was always an expectation, especially I felt in Chicago, that I was just not Black enough. And I had to be more Black to pull off doing certain roles. And because I wasn't from the South Side, because I wasn't from the, I guess, appropriately Black space in Georgia or in Texas, I could not pull off certain things, or that I felt that way. And so I for a long time have not seen myself represented in theater or in film, because I often feel when Black stories are told, it's about our oppression, or it's about moments where we've gone through strife and struggle. And that's not to say I don't go through strife and struggle. It's just that growing up, because there's always been a question of how Black I could be, I've just had a different experience. And so I guess the first time like I really saw myself in a show or in a film was probably the little Black girl in Lost World, Jurassic Park, The Lost World. So I was like, this is a girl who has like no parameter of who she has to be in this space. She is a Black inherently. You see this inherently. And I followed that little girl for years. I don't remember her name now, but that was always the case in everything. I think she was in like, oh my God, Harriet the Spy. She just got to exist. She just got to exist. And I was like, I want to be able to just exist. Like, I don't want to have to be crying and wailing over my dead child. I don't want to have to be like pulling my brother out of a drug habit. I just want to exist. And I was like, and those stories are valid as well as the harder stories to tell. We're not just all sharing the same experience. So, I mean, the first time I really got to do that as an actor and not be paid for it, but just to have it exposed, was when I wrote it myself. And I wrote a web series. And I was like, I just want to share this experience of being Black and how we are not a monolith. And that's okay. Like, we don't have to only share these like 5 same stories over again. Not that they aren't great, not that they aren't valid, but I guess I just got really tired of being asked to be Tituba. And so I just like, I don't want to do this shit anymore.
This Tituba through line is sending me. Mostly because I have this secret goal to play her in like every decade that I get to be alive, because so far I have. And I don't know how I feel about that. But I love you saying that, Adrienne, and being true to you, because Tiji was a wild one. They did.
Yeah, it's just it's also, it was just kind of like you guys are sharing your stories, and I was like, yes, I feel this, but oh my God, I have like the opposite experience. Because it's because well, like I'll say this, like if you could do, we did a Susan Laurie fucking A? No. Is that Susan Laurie?
Yeah.
We did that in school, and it feels weird to share that in a theater experience, because everyone who's watching this is white. Like the audience that comes to see fucking A is white at a theater school in Chicago. And there were white people casting roles that I was like, I never felt like I could say anything because I'm not Black enough, right? And also I was like, and two, this feels wrong, but I don't know like why everyone else seems to be okay with it, so I'm just not going to say anything. But this feels wrong because it's not been broken down in a way that I feel is appropriate. And sometimes I'll see stories on television and people are like, isn't this amazing? Like the way that, I'm sorry to get into it, but like the way that I see people who aren't Black fawn over Moonlight sometimes disturbs me, because I don't think they're fawning over it for the right reasons. And it's just like, why are you fawning over this? Because you just know that everyone likes it? What's your true opinion on it? Because I might be seeing a very different story from you. Whereas I feel like people see more of like the oppression part of that story sometimes, instead of like the love story of it. And that, I guess, hurts my feelings, because I feel like we lift up a lot of the oppressive aspects of Black storytelling instead of the existence. I don't know. I think I got a little too heady and I lost it. But.
No, I'm with you.
But I'm like,
I mean, I think that you all touch on really good points, because there is no one particular way to be Black. And sometimes, you know, especially when you're in a white space, you get caught up in the idea of like, this is how I am supposed to be Black. So it's like, you know, we're multifaceted. There's all different types of voices and accents we have. And that's the beauty of it, is that we can play around with that, because that's true to us, and you can only be true to yourself. So whether you sound like a Valley girl, like I also have this issue, and I grew up in Africa. So
if you ever lived in Texas in the 90s, I guarantee you probably sound like a Valley girl. That was like,
exactly. Or you get to, you know, play around with, you get to like see someone literally utilize the like African American vernacular with the African dialect and the clicks and everything. Like that's a beautiful thing to bring into one character, you know, like it's layered, and it's a joy to embrace it. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to our next question, which is kind of going off of what we're saying already. So how do you stay true to yourself in a white dominated industry? And then do you ever feel like you're in the position to say no?
I think you go ahead, Mirai.
I just want not even to negate you, our good, lovely Lebanese. I don't think the industry is white dominated. That is the illusion. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We're here. We are here. And I just don't. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Obviously, like, let's look at the Golden Globes, or let's look at Oscar So White. Like, I definitely understand what you're saying. I'm just like very particular about narrative. I'm like, no, we are the dominant culture because we push the culture forward. That's all I want to say right now. Julia.
I agree and I disagree a little bit. I think that we are in a stronger position now than we were in the past, and I think in terms of like we are more visible than we have ever been in history. But I do think that those who hold the gate, those who hold the keys to the gate, those who had seats at the table, are consistently still straight white men. Even though it's starting to dissipate, I still think it's straight white men dominate the seats of power. And so, which I think has a direct effect on what stories are being told and how they're being told. Now, granted, like it is cost effective for them to tell our stories. However, I think the limitations in the imagination, and it's getting better. Like we have multiple examples of for every example of very limited understanding of diaspora, we have our, we have our I Will Destroy You. We have our, you know what I mean? Like we have examples of expanding the diaspora now. And I think 2020, 2021 was a very amazing year. But I still think we have a long way to go because we need more of us within seats of power. Or at least maybe not to contradict you, maybe not to be a contradiction, maybe more visible of us in seats of power. That, at least that's my perspective and my understanding. So I do still think it is still a white dominated, or even if not, we are still trying to conform to a predominantly white way of looking at our society, a predominantly capitalist, white, patriarchal, heterosexual way, even though the narrative around it is shifting a little bit in terms of like inclusion and diversity and equity. These are my perspective.
Yeah, I think I have no problem saying no. I just said no the other day to something. I was like, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not going to book it anyway, so I don't want to even audition for it. But I think as well, I think there is definitely an imbalance to society and to, the entertainment media that we produce. Like, even though there's diversity happening, I still see announcements for casting where I'm like, all these people are white. All these people are white. Why? And that's a problem as well. But I also think there's a problem with who we give the keys to tell our stories. Because I'm afraid again to say this, but I feel that.
I got you. Say it.
I feel that, when we are given the keys to tell the stories, there's only a certain group of stories we're allowed to tell. And that's really just not fair, because when you look at it, and it's with any group that is in a minority. If you look at, the Latinx, they barely get to tell their stories. And when they do, it is a very small group of stories that they get to tell. Same with Asian, same with Black. We only get to tell like the same few stories over and over again. And a lot of times it is more focused on the Black man's story and how Black women kind of go to lift a Black man up. That's often the story that we're allowed to tell when we're given the money to do it. And so as a Black woman, it's a little frustrating because I'm still on the sidelines of someone else's story. Or it's about me rising up so I can be better for someone else's story. And so that's cute and all, but I think there's more space for more stories about Black people just in general. And that's why I May Destroy You was so great to see, because I was like, oh yes, we get to see a story that's focused solely on a Black woman. Now, at the same time, that story was about her recovering from, a rape. And so that's still kind of like we're inching closer, but we're still not quite there. I think I didn't watch it because I'm a horrible person, but Zoe Kravitz had a show on Hulu.
Oh, High Fidelity.
High Fidelity. And I always meant to watch it. The world shut down, I think, right when that got released. And so I was just out. I think I was in Scotland doing improv or something. But I think I was like, oh, I really do want to get back to watching that. And then it got canceled. And I was like, that sucks. Because that felt like it was actually a story about just a Black woman existing, going through her life without something horrible happening to her at the beginning, without something horrible happening to her in the middle, without her being an alcoholic, but she's a lawyer and she's amazing, How to Get Away with Murder, with Scandal, where she's like so successful and smart, but she's dealing with like white man trash. Like, come on. Like, give us more than this. We deserve it. And so bring back living single. You know, give us that again. This, because we do this, I feel like every 20 years where it feels like, oh yes, we're making strides in diversity and this feels great. And Halle Berry's up there winning an award for playing a downtrodden woman whose son dies and she has an affair with a white man. Okay. But nonetheless, she got it, right? And so we're excited and then nothing happens. And that's where I have problems because I'm like, this feels great in the moment, but I'm thinking 5 years down the line, are we going to have, you know, I want to be Sherlock Holmes. Like, I don't want to be Sherlock Holmes, but I want to be able to tell a story like that and have it be from a Black perspective. I want to be the lead of WandaVision. I don't want to be Monica Rambeau. I want to be Wanda. You know, that's the kind of thing that I want to start seeing. And maybe, you know, maybe I'm just a little too early asking for that, but
No, I want to be Don Draper. So,
you know, I want to be the lead. I want to be having affairs and drinking too much.
Exactly. That's what it's about. I do like. I love what each one of you said, and like, I think a lot of it comes down to choice. Like the first thing you said, Adrian, was like, I have no problem saying no. I am working on that myself. I've been very much on a yes journey and just been like, just try it all. And now I'm like, no. What is that? No, actually, I want that part because that's a really cool storyline. Oh, that's for a white person? Why? It doesn't matter. Like I feel really grateful that I'm starting to find my voice enough, or to my voice is not lost, to articulate myself to my team, to the people that are representing me, to my lovely agents who have dealt a lot of my emotional distress, especially since the world shut down, of deciding if I still wanted to be a part of this industry, which is why I think I came so hard with what I said at the top, knowing that like there's definitely the response that you gave, Julian, is also the truth. And I feel like I'm personally in this, and a couple of my friends, our mutuals, are in this in between of like, what are we saying yes to? Like there was something on Twitter the other day, there was a tweet on Twitter that my friend and previous castmate, Paige Gilbert, posted about Taraji P. Henson and the amount that she got for film with Tyler Perry, and she took it because she hadn't been paid that much money before for a film. And Taraji's been in the game, and like I went through the thread, and it what gets difficult for me now is like the balance of like you were saying before, I don't know what you were scared of, but like being scared of like, well, I want to say the truth, but like, will it take me out of that one dream job? But like really starting to open up and have these conversations about like, what are we saying yes to? Are we gonna say like, I understand what Tyler Perry has done for the industry. I also do not know that I want to be a part of the work he creates. It has nothing to do with me being like, oh, boo, Tyler Perry. It's just like, I don't know that that's what I want. And yet he's dominating a lot of the what my parents, let's say, would think of as Black culture and Black Hollywood. And and I put respect on that name because of that. And we don't, as Julian I think was saying in his own way, like we don't see a lot of options because we're constantly being fed that the gatekeepers at ABC or who, like we don't know. We do not know who the master engineers are, but we do know that they know it is what cost effective, what Julian said. Like, and that's a really hard thing for me to hear because it's true. It's like, I know I'm Black, I'm a woman, and the Black Renaissance is here. So like, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for you to like evaluate me and
Mhm.
tell me what you think I'm worth and like place me somewhere and then tell me I'm a breakout. Like another thing I'll say, someone that went to the same alma mater that Julie did, I'm not going to call them out. There was an article recently that said breakout. And I sent it to my friends who are also actors. I was like, this Black man is still breaking out? I was
Damn,
like,
now I know what you're talking about.
we were like, what? that's what we knew. That was one of the moments when we knew. We were like, this man who's been working since he left an Ivy League is breaking out.
Mm.
Okay, cool. Bet. I understand. I'm gonna drink my Vita Coco.
I remember when like Halle Berry had her big thing at the end of like with Monsters Ball and X-Men and all that kind of stuff, and people were like, who is this new it girl? I'm like, Halle Berry's been around since 1990. like, I don't know what you're talking about. You've not encountered Halle Berry at this point. But yeah, it's I always say I look forward to being like the brand new girl that nobody knows about, that's like that hasn't been working for a decade. But I'm like, you just haven't given me a chance until now. That's what's really going on, is that I've been working, and the reason why I seem so new to you is because you ignored me for a decade. You know, you saw my headshot, you saw my auditions. No, not right now, not right now. And that's something that even in Chicago, like as I was about to leave, there was like heat around me that I thought was really weird. Like people would be like, oh my God, I saw you in this and you were so amazing. And like, I really want to work with you now. And I'm like, I'm leaving. Like, where was this energy 2 years ago? You know, and it's weird how it works. And I don't even know if it's really something where people have control or even like a conscious thought about how they're doing that. It's just, I feel like it's almost like a human thing where just all of a sudden this is really popular and this is really what we want to focus on right now. And this is what we're going to like, oh, and you're amazing. And that's a big story I hear from friends who have friends who go on to be successful, is that what's wild is how quickly everyone becomes a yes person around them. You know, it's, oh, you're amazing and everything you do is amazing. And sometimes they be putting out shit, like awful shit. Like, people who are straight up famous, and you're like, this is bad, but I can't say so because everyone loves it right now. And that's kind of how I feel about, I'm going to say it, that's how I feel about Tyler Perry. Okay. Like, because
full chest, yes.
Let's go for it. I've auditioned for Tyler Perry, and oh my God, I'm never gonna work for Tyler Perry or in a studio after I say this.
No, he's gonna call you immediately after.
It was painful because I was like, I just want somebody to just tell him, hey, let's do another draft on this. Let's just take this and work it over again. Because it's putting a lot of pressure on me as an actor to make something that is not very good. And then the work ethic of how you get to be on a Tyler Perry show, where it's 2 weeks, 22 episodes over 2 weeks. Now, if you are a working actor, or just anyone who has an idea of how shooting works, you know, for most 22 episode shows, it takes a week to shoot one episode. Like, so if it takes 2 weeks and you shoot 22 episodes, there's going to be a lack of quality. And I think any of us who's ever watched a Tyler Perry TV show is aware of that. And so, shade and full, I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it.
Well, I also think I want to jump in and I do want to thank you. I'm going to try and not get emotional. It is a Virgo moon, so we don't know what we're going to get. Because I don't think it's fair for you to be from what we met today on StreamYard. I don't know you, but I feel you in the sense of like we shouldn't be, not shouldn't. I don't think it's fair to have conversations, open conversations, where we're just talking about how to exist, how to be Black, how to be actors, how to tell stories, and you can't say what is your truth because you might not be able to get a job. Like that's what happened. Like what? Like I watched. Damn, the Kenya Bear show, Netflix.
Oh, Black AF.
Thank you, Black AF.
Thank you.
Whoa, wow. And I thought, I was like, I vaguely remember when I think it was Deadline, probably Deadline Hollywood article came out that he had received a whatever millions of dollars signed deal with Netflix, and essentially being like, do whatever you want. We know you have like good formulas.
Mm-hmm.
Because my understanding of the industry so far, which is little, like I don't know a lot, but what I know is that like if a formula works, they're gonna use it. Look at where we're at now. How many reboots are coming? Oh, Gossip Girl, this, that, like the reboot. They're just like, okay, well, got a lot of 90s kids who are stuck at home and are feeling nostalgic. Like it's like right on time. I was like, I bet we're gonna get another Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like, look what happened. Like I was talking to my friends about this. I was like, dang, like, can I monetize my mind? Because I know what it is. I know what it is. And Tyler Perry's gonna save us. Because he's got the studio and he's doing whatever. And like that's what they're like, well, if you're not willing to wait for your breakout hit on whatever, like go to Atlanta. And choose that. Because someone has created, but like you said, 2 weeks for 22 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
That goes beyond like doing this for the culture of Black. That is, I think, at the core, one of the main things that is wrong with this industry. We do not take our time to actually, oh, you want to see my audition? Okay, great, thank you. Please give me as much as you can give me. Oh, you gave me 2 sides and 2 scripts, 58 pages each, and a character breakdown. When I got that recently, I was like, I want to work with these people because you respect the craft. And then I looked at when they wanted me to set the tape, and I was like, I don't know what to do because I know y'all respect actors. Because like, yes, give me the motherfucking breakdown. Tell me how you want to see this and let me do my job, which is auditioning and showing you my version of this list of things for this character. And then I said no, because I was like, I don't have the time to do what I think this role is worthy of. And then it came back and I was able to do it, the audition. But I'm on a tangent, and the tangent is the path. But I did want to interrupt mostly to say, like, thank you, Adrian, for being truthful. When it is like, you know, we're also not in a room somewhere. This is recorded. This is now live. 55 minutes of us like chatting, and we are successful. Someone said something. Oh, you, Adrian, about like those who've gone on to be successful. I know what you meant, but also like, Julian, you're on the show, on the television. I wish I had read your bio more. I'm gonna read it, Adrian, but like, you're successful. Sorry, I'm saying your name wrong.
No,
Lebanon. You're successful. You have a company. You created a whole event with a call sheet. I looked at that call sheet last night. I said, oh, bet? Okay. Okay, a call sheet. Because, you know, my brain was all over the place. I need, like, my Virgo needed. I was like, okay, my name here, my call time 1345. Okay, I was so excited by how we as Black people can come together and be like, well, this is what I want. I want to be in conversation with people like this who make me think, who make me feel a little scared about like, ooh, maybe I won't get a job either because I mentioned Tyler Perry's name. Like that, but like I want to be truthful. I want to be truthful while also being respectful. Like, I'd rather not be making jokes in a corner about shit I don't like, and rather just be like, hey, like, I don't think I like that. But like, how did you do that? How did you start your own studio? Tell me. Give me that sauce. Give me that sauce, because maybe then we can do something with it as a community. Because if you're hoarding it all for yourself, and making people feel like they have to do that in order to get, I don't know, a stamp on their Black card. Like, I'm not playing that game. I am Black without needing a Tyler Perry credit.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, this conversation, I wish we could talk forever. Okay, but I can only ask 2 more questions. Okay, so I'm gonna ask, what continues to motivate you now? You want to hear the other question now too, or?
No, I thought you had more because you were like, "What motivates you now?" And then they're
and it's like, yeah, it's like, what continues to motivate you, and then what's next for you?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, those are the 2.
Those are the 2.
My mom. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
She's gonna want me to say that. I think fundamentally, I think as we're all kind of harping on it, is the fact that we as artists are political in the sense of like, because we are people of color, our bodies are inherently political, and so I know that like my representation, whether that be on stage or on the screen, inherently has a profound effect on the dialogue that is kind of currently happening within particularly this country, because I am part of an oppressed minority group. So every time my story is told, then I am adding something into that narrative. Granted, as we've all kind of been talking about it, that narration needs to be more nuanced and subtle, because we are a nuanced and subtle people. But what's motivating me is the hope that, like, as I continue to move and as I continue to move forward, I will gain enough capital, both figuratively and literally, to be able to shift the narrative and be able to contribute and pull it into a more subtle and nuanced space. So yeah, and I got bills to pay.
That's real.
Factual.
And what's next is we're currently filming the 2nd season of Wu-Tang: An American Saga, so we're doing that. Yeah, so that's what's next, and then after that, I'll take a vacation. So hopefully there'll be less of a plague.
That's beautiful. I'll go next. Also family. Not gonna sing without mom, even though she's great, but my family, blood and chosen, are why I continue on, and also because I believe in my dreams. Like, other people aside, because I have a tendency to be like, "Come along, everybody, like, let's go." And some people are like, "I don't want to play. I'm gonna do my thing over here." And so with that, I have to believe in myself and have a lot of faith. I've really had the privilege to take the time that was given by the global pandemic to commune with my spirit and my spirituality, and to really understand that, yes, so many things are happening and are still happening and have been happening before and will continue. And I am grateful to have found a way to thrive through the chaos of life, but especially of 2020. And that I was able to ground myself in being of service through telling stories. I've recently come to the conclusion that I will always find the cave and I'll always find the spark of creation. Like, no matter what, like, we got to go into a cave and tell stories, I'll be there. Like, I will find where the storytellers are, and that excites me. If that means I have to go to Hungary or, I don't know, Czechoslovakia, I'll find the story and tell it with whatever tools I have. And that is a privilege and an honor. And feeds into, I guess, what is next. Is a continuation of as many dreams as possible. I'm, but more practically, I'm in a positive psychology class online, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot, even though it's only twice a week. It's just like dense material to be ingesting over Zoom. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I finally bit the bullet. I've known about it for 3 years, and last year I was like, well, now or never. And it's a certificate in applied positive psychology, which is thank you, which is with not going on too much longer. It's a major part of my company, I Defy, in terms of advocacy and more health and well-being in the entertainment industry, through using the tools of positive psychology and really giving artists, especially those that are Black, people of color, Indigenous, and differently abled and neurodivergent. So it seems like a lot of people, but it's very, very specific. And it is a lot of people, but very, very specific. Really want to usher in a more inclusive world, not just for melanated, but those who are differently abled, neurologically and also physically. That's one of my major dreams, and for them to be able to tell their stories, because as much as I can commiserate, and there's truth in that commiserating, there's a lot of other people whose stories are not being told.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful.
Remind me of the question. I was listening to everyone. I was like, what am I supposed to
Okay, so what continues to motivate you, and then what's next for you?
Okay, what continues to motivate me is bills. No, my family. I gotta pay these
Three things. It's like bills, family.
Yeah.
Bills, family, vacation.
No, I think honestly, it sounds so cheesy, but I've wanted to be an actor since I was like 4 or 5 years old, and there is in the back of my head this 5-year-old who's like, "Are you going to be famous yet?" And that girl is a lot of motivation. Just like chasing this dream that, I may never get to honor that little girl who definitely stood in the mirror with a hairbrush doing her acceptance speech for her Oscar. I may never get to do that, but I want to get as close as I can for as long as I can, just to honor this like lifelong dream I've had. In terms of what's next, I'm like, no, I actually am shooting a short for a friend who just reached out the other day. And so I'll be doing that over the next 2 weeks. And then, there's stuff that I am making moves for, but I can't talk about it because then, I'll get phone calls that I don't want to get right now. But yeah, I'm doing that. I'm an herbalist and I make body products, Strange Gazelle, strangegazelle.com. So I'm actually reformulating a lot of it to pull up more of the herbalist aspect of it, and not just because everyone really likes I make soaps and they're fun and cute and I love doing it, but I also know how to make really good lotion. So let's make that more of a focus. But yeah, that's kind of what's coming up. It's interesting because everything's kind of just starting back up. So if you aren't like B-list, C-list, then things are just really kind of coming back into life for you, because a lot of the TV shows are just now restarting their auditions and stuff, and for people who can be like a recurring or a guest star. So that's kind of where I'm trying to push my career to the next level. Oh, and I'm in a McDonald's commercial, but that's it.
That's a big deal.
You're famous. That's amazing. Your website is amazing. Like, we all gotta. I'm gonna buy some.
Yeah, we're advertising it right now at Strange Gazelle.
Oh yeah. Hey, how about that?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. It's such an honor for you to share your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience. I want to thank you for speaking so truthfully and just being completely honest with all of us. I mean, I've learned so much today. My heart has been so full, and it's only the first day of the forum. So thank you. Thank you so, so much. Everyone, please give these amazing artists a follow if you're not following them already, so you can keep seeing what they're up to, because they're already famous. They're already famous. They're superstars. They're successful. And I just can't wait to see what comes next for all of you. So we have some more performances. So Chrissy Light Black and Aviva J. So please stay tuned for that. And if you decide to leave, which you shouldn't, please come tomorrow for our event, because we have a whole other day of beauty and Blackness and celebrations to be had. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lepine.
Thank you.
I turn on the TV. 5 o'clock news, what do I see? A dead kid who looks like me. At 6 o'clock news, what do I see? Another dead kid who kind of looks like me. And 10 o'clock news, what do I see? 2 kids dead in the street, blood to their feet, looking like my homeboy and me. So tell me, am I supposed to be happy with this democracy? I pledge allegiance to the black boy who looks at his reflection and sees nothing, who sags his pants because it's the only way for people to see inside of him, who holds a gun because no one would give him their hand. To the black woman who lets men in because she cannot let emotion out, who puts on tight jeans to squeeze out her insecurities, squeeze out the hate sedated in immigrants and slave ships we steal from the shops we fought to sit in. You say black and they don't think back. They look at what's going down now. Hashtags and body bags. Hashtag Black Lives Matter, except when it's my own. Hashtag fight hate, but I think I'll wait to say something. That small violin is playing the song of this nation's shame. My 40 acres and a mule must have gotten lost in the mail, but they tell me they have hope. But the same people who tell me cannot define what hope is. It's hope that my mom's mom was a slave, and that it's been long nights taping back the pages in the book, romanticizing of a time in which my family's history was not condensed into 1 month, not only 1 month, but the shortest of the 12, leading to guns replacing textbooks, bullet holes replacing boots worn by people aligned, standing in line, fighting for peace. No. Hope is a seed that you plant and pray will one day become an adult. And let's not get hope confused with change. You see, change is what you get back at the checkout. Hope is what you cash in. Hope is hoping that I'll live to see 25. Hope is hoping that I can one day walk into an Ivy League school without getting funny looks, and that if I have a son, his name won't be Trayvon. And that if I have a son, his name won't be Ahmad, won't be George, won't be Tamir, won't be Eric, won't be Michael. And then if I have a son, I won't have to tell him why he can't walk outside alone at night. And that if he does, it might be wise to bring a white boy with him. Hope is continuing the foundation that our founders laid for us. And I'm not talking about Washington, Jefferson, and Adams. I'm talking about King, X, and Obama. I'm talking about Tubman, Truth, Angelou, Langston Hughes, Huey Newton, and NWA. It is standing on a stage and saying, I am black, and not giving a damn who's listening. It is the single mom making more than the deadbeat dad, and my mother pawning off diamond rings so that we'd have something to eat. We talk a lot, but when's the last time you actually said something? We look a lot, but when's the last time you actually saw something? I send 10 minutes after praying again. Is God still taking our phone calls, or does he send them straight to voicemail? But at least we had hope. But if we had so much hope, then why when I turn on the TV, 5 o'clock news, what do I see? A dead kid who looks like me. At 6 o'clock news, what do I see? Another dead kid who kind of looks like me. And 10 o'clock news, what do I see? 2 kids dead in the street, blood to their feet, looking like my homeboy and me. So tell me, am I supposed to be happy with this democracy? Thank you.
Just find your way.